Hello everyone. Hello, it is Katie here with today's live stream. Today we are going to be working on XiaoHongShu profile reviews with top tips and insights to help you optimize your XiaoHongShu profile. Now I'm just getting everything set up. I know a few people are just tuning in at the moment. So while we're getting everything sorted, could you please just pop a message in the chat? Please let me know that firstly you can see and hear me okay, or the tech is working fine. And then let me know a bit about you, like where you're tuning in from or what you're excited to learn about today. So just pop a message in the chat. It's great to know that the tech is working and let me know that you're here and where you're tuning in from today. So we're getting everything started properly in a minute or two, but just giving an opportunity for everyone to tune in and comment, just to let me know that it's all working. And there is a bit of a lag, by the way. So if I take a little bit of time to notice your comment, it's because there is, I think, about a 20-second lag between me talking and then actually going out on YouTube or Facebook. So please don't worry if I take a few seconds just to see anything you've written. I'm also going to double check that everything looks fine on my end. Is this all working well? While waiting, do feel free to like and subscribe subscribe to my channel, like the video, because that just helps the algorithms and whatever boost this up and show it to more amazing teachers like you too. I just want to quickly double check it is all streaming fine in the Facebook group. Yep, I can see it in the Facebook group. That's great. And let's check on YouTube as well. I'm always a bit wary of tech. Tech is always one of those absolute nightmares for everyone. Seems to be working fine on my end. Okay, fantastic. I see here we've got Nadine tuning in on YouTube. I can see and hear you. Fantastic. Hello from South Africa. Awesome. I don't know if you guys can tell from my accent, but I'm British. I'm in the UK at the moment. So great to see people from other parts of the world tuning in as well. Great. Okay, I'm just going to share my screen. As you guys probably know, if you tuned into a few of these things, I have a tendency to ramble. So this time I've actually been a bit more organized and prepared some hopefully not too boring slides just to keep us on track. It's always good to make sure we have a plan. Okay, great. A few more people tuning in. We've got English Star Explorers Hub. Fantastic. Hi, Katie from YT. Is that YouTube? Fantastic. Thank you so much for tuning in. Great to hear it's all working fine. Laurie from the US. Awesome. Great to see you again, Laurie. Fantastic. We've got mystery Facebook user. Hello from the Philippines. Amazing. It must be quite late for you there. Or really early? I think really early, maybe. In the middle of the night. So thank you so much for making it at this time. Really appreciate it. If I can't see your name on Facebook, there's a link somewhere around the video. I think on Facebook it's above the video to authorize Wave Video to access your name, just so I can say hi. A little bit more personal. Great. Okay, should we jump in then with the plan for today? So today we are going to be, I am going to be giving a review of teachers' profiles on XiaoHongShu, which is a really popular Chinese social media app and a great place to advertise and find students for your online classes. I'm not going to review everyone's. It is going to be a random draw. That's because I had quite a lot of people submit a request for a review already, so we don't have time to do everyone's. But please do, listen in, and you'll learn a lot just from top tips and insights into what other teachers have written and some of those different ideas and things. So we're all going to learn from each other today. Even if your personal profile doesn't get reviewed, I'm sure you'll learn a lot just from hearing the tips for other teachers too. I often find it's the same kind of comments that come up each time. There's some common themes that teachers can always work on, so I'm sure you'll find it helpful. Now, if you'd like to have a review in today's session, please fill out the form. It's in the description, either above or below the video, depending on where you're watching this, to submit a request for a review. If you filled it out last time, I did this webinar also about a month or so back. Please fill it out again for this session, because some people might have filled it out before and now they're no longer interested or whatever. So please make sure you fill it out again if you would like a profile review today. And a top tip, please give lots of detail in the form, particularly on your niche and like who you teach and what you teach, because that gives me a lot of ideas on where to optimize and what things to tweak and how you can rephrase things a bit here and there. So please do give lots of details if you can. Okay, I'm having a few things in the comments. And by the way, if you've got other questions about XiaoHongShu or WeChat or Chinese social media marketing and finding more students on social media in general, do feel free to pop them in the chat. I'll come to them sort of at various points throughout the session when we have chance between different profile reviews. A few more people joining in here. Grace from Cameroon, great to see you. Angie, love to see you again too. And we've got Prissy. Great. Hope you're well as well. Great to see you. Lots of people tuning in. Nikki's commenting saying, I've had some difficulties signing up to WeChat. It's a difficult one. There is in the Facebook group, again, link somewhere in the video if you're watching on, you're on YouTube. There's a link around the video for you to go to the Facebook group, and there's a pinned post in the Facebook group about how to get your WeChat account verified and set up. So please do check that out because it can be a bit difficult to get that sorted. Okay, Alan's saying all good, excellent, great to hear. Okay, let's jump in then. So I had, as I said, prepared slides. What was I going to talk about first? This is my disorganization. It's like 6 p.m. UK time, and therefore my brain is already switched off. Okay. Oh, I was going to talk about myself. That was a great start. Awesome. So let's put my face over here. So for anyone who's new here and hasn't seen me around, where have you been? My name is Katie. Most people know me as the director of Abridge Academy, but I've been an online teacher since 2013. And I'm also a qualified classroom teacher from the UK. I've lived, studied and taught ESL in China and Japan before, and also the UK. I don't know why I didn't list that. I also taught in the UK. I have a micro MBA from Shanghai Jiao University. So that's given me quite a lot of insights into the Chinese market and how to do business in China. I also co-founded a Chinese online ESL startup program in 2020. Again, lots of insights into Chinese parents' expectations, how to market and promote your classes for students in the Chinese market. A lot of insights I learned from getting involved in that side of things. And right now I'm an online teacher and I sell curriculum and courses for online teachers. So that's a little bit of background to me. As always, if you're just tuning in, always feel free to introduce yourself in the comments and let me know where you're tuning in from. That is always great to see who we've got joining us. Let's say these slides help me keep on track. Okay, if you would like a free XiaoHongShu profile review in today's session, let me just put my video somewhere less in the way. I'm always in the way. My face is too big. Okay, if you would like a free XiaoHongShu profile review in this session, please go to the description. There is a link to a form you can fill out. It's very straightforward, and it's just asking some information about you, a link to your profile so I can find your profile to review it, and also a few questions like what you teach, what your niche is, so I understand, how you need to optimize your profile. Now, a few things caught people out last time, particularly how to find your profile ID and your profile link on XiaoHongShu. So I made this very simple slide, which hopefully shows you where to find them. And I also put a video in my YouTube shorts if anyone wants an actual step-by-step thing. But basically, go to your XiaoHongShu profile. Your profile ID is listed right under your name. It's the really small text here that I put a little circle around. So it's really small text underneath your main profile name. And then your profile link, just go to the top right corner and there's a little share button, like a little square that looks like a sharing button. When you click on that, there's then the option to copy a link to your profile. So those are the two things you need to put in the form so I can find your profile in order to review it. So just a quick tip there for anyone who is struggling with those. Okay. I think I was going to jump in. Oh, yes. I was also going to remind you of free resources because who can turn down a marketing opportunity? So if you are new here, there's loads of free resources I offer through Abridge Academy to help online teachers like you get started with Chinese social media. We also, of course, have the Abridge Academy curriculum, free version of that's well available. In terms of finding students, there's links to these all in the description. These are all free. There is a free social media marketing guide. If you sign up to the email list, link is in the description somewhere. There's a free Facebook group. I think quite a few people are tuning in from the Facebook group, but if you're not, there's a link on YouTube to come join the Facebook group. It's called WeChat and XiaoHongShu for online teachers. And there's also a free XiaoHongShu bootcamp. This is now a self-paced course and it guides you step by step through things like optimizing your profile and sort of figuring out what kind of content to post to get you started on XiaoHongShu. So please do check those out. I know sometimes teachers really struggle getting started on Chinese social media. It can be quite daunting. So free social media guide, free Facebook group, and free bootcamp. Please check those out. Lots of useful resources to help you there. Links are all in the description somewhere around the video. Okay, that was my little promo over. Should we jump into what we actually want to get onto today, which is our free XiaoHongShu profile reviews? I'll talk a bit more about XiaoHongShu probably in a moment. We're getting a bit bored of that, aren't we? Right, let's go back to me. Okay, so let's have a look on the entries of the form. I'm just going to refresh my form page. I'm not going to show you guys the actual form submissions just because it's got people's personal data on, obviously. But let's just have a look. Okay, we've had 57 entries, and I know 35 of those were last time. So on Google, I'm just going to do a random number generator between 36 and, what did I say, 57? I think it was 57. Let's go back. I'm getting forgetful. 57. Okay, so those are the entry numbers. First number that's come up is 46. Let me have a look at entry number 46. I edited the form, so now you have to actually fill everything in, because last time I had a few people who missed out like key parts of the form, like their link or their name, which made it a bit difficult to actually give them any reviews. Okay, number 46, we have Alan. Teacher Alan. Let me open this profile link, and then we can compare, analyze this a bit together. Share this tab. Back to the live stream. Sorry guys, there's always a bit of an awkward pause, and I'm just setting up all of the tech, making sure everything can be seen properly. Okay, here we have Alan's profile. So Alan, if you're in the chat, please let us know, say hi. It's always good to hear when people are joining in live as well. So Alan, this is Alan's profile. I'm going to have a quick analysis of this today. Don't worry, by the way, I'm going to go through several profiles today. We're just going to quick look at several different teachers, give you a few top tips. So I'm just looking at what Alan put on the form. He said he's targeting students and graduates at university or recently graduated from science, engineering and IT who plan to travel abroad and need to engage in one-on-one discussions to improve their spoken English. So it's spoken English for like STEM students, university students and recent graduates. Fantastic. Okay, so that is Alan's niche. Let's have a look at what he's put here. Can I make this any bigger? No, I can't. Okay, right. So sorry guys, you had to put up with small text. Hopefully you guys can read this okay. So a few things I'm just going to go through. Let's start off with Alan's name. Alan has put here Alan Paul as his name. I have a quick top tip for anyone in terms of optimizing your profile. And by the way, if you guys have got any ideas, always welcome to pop them in the chat too. I love to hear other people's suggestions as well, because we can all learn from each other. Oh, I see Alan's joining us too. Hi, Alan. Great. Hope you find this really helpful then. So Alan has put his name here just as Alan Paul. One thing I recommend doing is don't bother with like your last name or second name or something. Just put what you want people to call you. So I'm guessing probably just Alan, judging by the fact the ID just says Alan in it. So if you just want people to call you Alan, just put the Alan bit. And then save the rest of the characters in the name field to put a kind of tagline that relates to what you teach. So in this case, Alan is teaching university students, recent graduates, focusing on discussions, all kind of to do with like travel-related English. It's quite a broad category to talk about, but I would put a little tagline such as Alan, travel English expert, or Alan, international study English, something like that. So a couple of words that go after your name that relate to what your niche is, and specifically include important keywords that are relevant to your target audience. The reason you want to do that is because when people search on XiaoHongShu, you see there's like a search bar at the top here. When you search on XiaoHongShu, if you search for things that are in people's names, they come up, right? So if I was to search for Alan, Alan's profile would probably come up somewhere on a massive list of all of the Alans on XiaoHongShu. But if I was to search for travel English, it would come up with posts about travel English, but also profiles of people who've got travel English in their name as a keyword. So it just means that when you search, you're more likely to come up in search for topics of people searching about your niche. It also means when you engage with other people on XiaoHongShu, so you write a comment on their posts, your name appears as the person who wrote the comment, and they can see, oh, Alan, travel and study abroad, or whatever you put as your tagline. And that then kind of catches their attention if that's interesting to them. So it kind of then prompts them to click through to your profile and learn a bit more about what you offer. So that's one quite easy way to sort of optimize your profile a little bit more there. Yeah, if you want to focus on the travel side. You also mentioned particularly like science or engineering. So if you wanted to focus more on like scientific English or engineering English, you can also say something like English for scientists and engineers in your title if you wanted to do more academic related classes. But just judging by what Alan's put on the form, he was saying more about travel abroad and engage in one-on-one discussions on spoken English. So it depends on what you want to focus on, but put a tagline that relates specifically to that in your name field. Next thing, let's have a look here. Alan's already been really clever and optimized his ID. Good job, Alan. So he's put here his ID, Alan_engineer. That's great because I'm assuming that's the same on your WeChat. This is one of my top tips. Always make sure your XiaoHongShu ID matches your WeChat ID, because then if people see that you've like customized your XiaoHongShu ID, they're quite likely to search you up on WeChat and try and find you. And I've had this happen to me. I've had people randomly add me on WeChat, and I've been like, how did you know about me? Like, where did you come from? And they'll say, oh, I looked on XiaoHongShu when I searched for your ID. So that genuinely does help. So that's fantastic. A few other small things you could work on. I think the picture's great, but it looks a little bit kind of like yellow out. I think there's the lighting in it. I say that if you look at my lighting right now, it's a bit also yellow and greyed out. I look like a ghost. But you might want to think a little bit about the picture. If there's some way, if you want to focus on travel English, can you have a more travel themed background going on? And maybe step back a little bit because the face is kind of like the whole thing. You want to be sort of, you know how I am right now in the video. There's my face, but there's also a little bit more space around it. That's quite a nice sort of setup to have in your profile picture. A little bit more space around your face, and then there could be a little bit of background of like, I don't know, a beach or something cool that might attract a travel-related audience. Or if you want to sort of tie in a bit more into that engineering and science field, you could have an engineering themed background. A bit outside my area of expertise, but something that kind of relates to what you want to teach is always great to have there too. Let's also look at his bio, and I'm going to translate this into English for you guys. Top tip, if you're using Google Chrome to look at things, use the Google Chrome too many Googles in that sentence. Use the Chrome Google Translate extension to just translate everything on the page when you're using XiaoHongShu on your computer. It makes it a lot easier just to look at these things. Okay, so we can see Alan says, I'm going to read this out because I know it's quite small on the screen, unfortunately. Alan says, electronic engineer with 40 years experience in Africa and the UK, helps students and professionals speak fluent English through personal online discussions. If you want to improve your English, please communicate with me here. Thanks. Okay, in which case I might revise what I said before about travel-related things. Because in here you're talking a little bit more about sort of electronic engineering, perhaps. Again, it depends what you want to focus on. I would recommend in your bio, you've got a very good, strong kind of introduction here if you want to target an engineering market. So electronics engineer, 40 years experience in Africa and the UK. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but there's a lot of Chinese investment in Africa and in African countries. There's a lot of controversy also around some of this in terms of the politics. But therefore, there's also a lot of interest from Chinese clients in obviously learning English because they're working overseas, but also in learning sort of business expertise related to working with specific countries in Africa where China has a lot of investment. Like I think Zambia or someone I was reading about recently. I'm not an expert on all these details because it's a bit outside my niche, but if you have a look online, there's some information on where China's building lots of railroads in Africa. There's quite a few countries they've got big investments in. So if you've got expertise in those countries, it could be a great niche to lean in on, and more of the business, almost coaching side and helping business clients in China understand the local market and obviously improve their English and their communication skills and things along that as well. But anyway, going back to Alan's profile, electronic engineer, 40 years experience, that's fantastic, great start. I help students and professionals speak fluent English through personal online discussions. I like this, you're getting the idea here of what, sorry, I'm talking too quickly, aren't I? I'll slow down. You're getting the idea here of what I like to call a transformation statement. So transformation statement basically says, what transformation do you offer your students or your clients? Which should be the same as a transformation you offer your followers on XiaoHongShu. So you've got here, who do you help? What do you help them achieve? Or what challenge do you help them overcome? And by what method? So here we got, I help students and professionals, that's your sort of target audience. What are they going to achieve? Speaking fluent English. How are they going to achieve that? Through personal online discussions. Now you could niche down this a little bit more. So for example, students and professionals is quite broad. You could say something like young professionals. And often you'll find university students, because they're looking into becoming young professionals after they graduate, will still be kind of attracted towards that. So you could say, I help young professionals and speak fluent English. Well, why do they want to speak fluent English? Think about their ultimate goal. So it could be they want to work in an international company in China that does a lot of trade with, so Alan mentions expertise in Africa and the UK. So it could be that you're going to help them achieve their dream of working in an international company in China that does trade with Africa or something. Or it could be that you want to help them get a job working overseas in an overseas engineering company, that kind of thing. So put in there the kind of ultimate end goal for your students. Why do they want to speak fluent English? It might not be career related. It's quite good when it is career related, because then they have a strong motivation to pay for classes, to make progress with their English for a particular reason. But it could also be that you're helping them be more confident communicating when they're living overseas and in everyday English, that kind of thing, depending on what you're focusing on specifically. And through personal online discussions, um, mm, it's sort of referencing classes, but you haven't been flagged on XiaoHongShu for that, otherwise it wouldn't show up. So you've got away with it. I think that's fine. I would probably leave it like that. In time, you could modify that a little bit more if you want to focus in on like specific techniques or things like that. To be honest, that's more relevant for people doing like exam coaching. They'll say exactly what their method is or something. In your case, through personal online discussions, I mean, you're teaching spoken English, so it's got to be discussion based. So yeah, that's pretty cool. If you want to improve your English, please communicate with me here. Thanks. Okay, so this last bit of your profile bio is what I like to call your call to action. So once people have clicked through to your profile, so seen one of your posts or comment elsewhere, they click through to your profile, they read this bio, what do you want them to do next? Usually, they're not yet that familiar with you, okay? So your call to action shouldn't be like buy classes. In fact, if you say that, you'll probably get blocked. Like XiaoHongShu doesn't like salesy call to actions. But a good call to action is something like follow me for posts about something. So we scroll down, Alan's got quite a lot of this is like travel related posts or some images. Oh, beautiful beach, I like it. So you could say follow me for inspirational travel tips for while you're living abroad or something like that. So tell them why they should follow you. What kind of posts will they see? The idea of like, please communicate with me, that's quite a strong call to action if you want people to actually start reaching out to you more directly about classes. Again, you've got to be careful with the wording. Sometimes XiaoHongShu flags stuff if you say like message me, but you've managed to, I'm intrigued what wording we used here. Communicate with me. Jiao, this means like, yeah, to communicate or to, yeah, communicate. Good translation that would be. So please here, communicate with me. It works, but I wonder how many people are actually reaching out yet. If you find you're not yet at the point, because your profile is still relatively small, right? We got 8 followers, 8 focus. Hang on, what's that? So I'm putting back in Chinese. I don't know. This translate things weirdly. Yeah, 8 follows, 4 fans. Oh, you're following 8 people. Sorry, I'm half asleep today. 4 people following so far. So if your account's pretty new, I would recommend first having a call to action that's getting people to follow you. Why should they follow you? Once your account has grown a lot more, then you can have a call to action that's more like, okay, I've got lots of followers. Now you guys need to message me about something. So message me if you want to improve your travel English or something like that. Yeah, I might tweak that a little bit there. He's picked some good tags here. Study abroad consultants. That's good if you're targeting students who want to study abroad. He's put in his country, South Africa. That's great if you're targeting students who are interested in that area of the world. Like I said, engineering, there's quite a big push with engineering companies in China at the moment, and investment in various African countries. So that can actually, I know a lot of teachers in South Africa often struggle with breaking into the Chinese market, but draw on the fact that China wants to invest in those countries and think about the expertise you have. Obviously, Africa is a big continent, so depends on where your specific area of expertise is. But yeah, where was I? I think that's probably the basics in terms of analyzing a profile. Let's have a quick look in the chat. If anyone's got any suggestions, by the way, or if this has helped you or you've learned any top tips, please do let me know in the chat. It's always useful to hear what you guys are finding helpful. And if you've got any of your own suggestions, always useful to hear other people's insights too. Got some more people joining us. Thanks for tuning in. We have one of the 7,641 Philippine islands. That is a lot of islands. I mean, I knew the Philippines was a chain of islands, but that's a lot. Wow. That'll have to be a new mission at some point to travel to all of those islands. Impressive. Gosh, okay. Tuning in. Hello from Spain. Awesome. Great. Okay, so I think that's probably our first review. Hopefully you guys found that helpful. Let's have a quick look back at some information about XiaoHongShu itself. So we've done one quick review, and I've seen we've got quite a few more people tuning in at the moment. So I want to take this as a little bit of a ad break. Is that the word for it? It's not an advert, it's a break. A little bit of a break to talk a bit more about XiaoHongShu and why we're so interested in this app. And just a reminder, while we're having this little break, if you would like your profile to be reviewed next, please do check out the link in the video description where you can fill out a quick form with some information about your XiaoHongShu profile, what you teach, a link to your profile, that kind of thing, and then you'll be considered for the next review. It's a random draw, but please do enter if you would like to be featured. So a quick bit of information then about XiaoHongShu for a few minutes, in case you guys are new here. So the reason we love XiaoHongShu is because it's a really great app for online teachers to connect with Chinese students through a very, I say very straightforward, a relatively straightforward to use platform in that it's open to international users outside of China. So XiaoHongShu describes itself as a visual microblogging and social e-commerce platform, which is a bit rambly, but essentially it's a bit like Instagram, tiny bit like Pinterest, but you can also buy stuff on it. So people tend to go to XiaoHongShu to be inspired and to connect with different people, but also to hear about what products and services and things they recommend, because companies can use the app to directly sell things. That's quite a big thing in China, by the way, this idea of social e-commerce. It's starting to come to the UK at least, and we start to see that like on Facebook Marketplace, for example. I know there's a TikTok store and that kind of thing. Instagram, you can sell stuff, but they're not as big. On XiaoHongShu, it's a bit more of a focus, which basically means people come to XiaoHongShu with a little bit of a mindset that they're more ready to buy, which is great if you're trying to sell stuff. It has 100 million monthly users, which is pretty big. The majority of them are women aged 19 to 35 in tier 1 cities. That's just looking at the demographics on XiaoHongShu. Now, with that age range, it's quite good for targeting university students, young professionals, and also young parents, so who've got kids who are relatively young kind of age range. Now, myself personally, I target slightly older students, so teenagers, but also had success on XiaoHongShu. So it's okay if you're not just targeting this specific market. I say the biggest sort of demographic in terms of the statistics is age 19 to 35. When I say tier 1 cities, these are basically the big money-earning cities in China, the big well-known cities. They're often a lot more internationally minded. They tend to have the spending power to buy classes because that they're in higher income cities, but also I would say they're money rich but time poor. Like they struggle with time because they're too busy working and there's a lot going on in these cities. So they're really interested in purchasing specialist classes that are going to help them make progress towards a specific goal more quickly, because their goal is to spend the least amount of time in achieving something, in like learning English in the shortest amount of time, and they're happy to spend the money it takes to get there. So that's what I mean by tier 1 cities like Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, Guangzhou. These are like tier 1 cities in China. On XiaoHongShu, you can post images, videos, carousel posts, stories. They call them hey posts, but they're like Instagram stories. So lots of different types of content you can post. And the biggest categories on XiaoHongShu are health and beauty, travel, and also education and childcare. These are also sort of growing interest categories on XiaoHongShu. It started out really as a kind of fashion-focused app, but it's grown a lot more, and it's a particular focus I see on like international students, study abroad, travel abroad, those kind of markets. And yeah, I'd say the main focus in terms of what to post is like valuable educational content that's going to attract your target audience. So there's a little bit of insight into XiaoHongShu if you're new. Let's pop over then. Hopefully that's giving you guys a little bit of time to fill out the form and get a few more entries if anyone would like to have their profile reviewed. Let's go back to the form entries. As I said before, I'm not going to screen share the form entries just because it's got people's private data on it, obviously. Where are we up to? Okay, now we're up to number 58. We've got 58 entries. Oops, I closed the tab. Where was I? Random number generator on Google. Minimum was 36 because that was from last time, and now we're up to 58 entries. Generate a number 38. Okay, number 38. Who is the lucky number 38? I know this is just me talking to myself. I'm looking at the thing here, don't worry. Number 38. Scroll quite far down the list. Page 3. Gosh, lots of entries. Number 38. Okay, entry number 38 is Loy. Oh, I thought I saw Loy in the chat earlier. Okay, let me call up your profile, Loy. Let's pop this over here. Let's go back to screen sharing. Oh, I don't want to screen share that one. We saw that. Share this tab. Let's make me a bit bigger, because you guys need to see my wonderful, beautiful face today. And it looks awful. Like my skin is like broken out weirdly this week. I think it's the stress. Right, okay. So this is teacher Loi. I think Loi, I saw you in the chat. Are you still with us? Yes, excellent, fantastic. Great to see you. Okay, so we're gonna have a look at Loi's profile. Oh, I was gonna actually, while we're looking at, you guys have a quick look. I'm gonna quickly scroll for any questions in the chat that popped up. Nadine's asking, some teachers openly advertise classes on XiaoHongShu and even include prices and screenshots of students renewing classes. Pretty sure it's a risky move, but they still have a lot of followers. What are your thoughts? My thoughts on this is, yes, it's very risky. Personally, I wouldn't do that. I think those kind of posts attract lower quality leads. They attract people who are looking for lower price classes, because like if they're just browsing for an English teacher, then that kind of post would attract that sort of audience. But people just browsing for an English teacher are happy with any English teacher. So you're competing with all of the English teachers out there in the world. Whereas if you create posts that are more like specialist and focusing on things that are particularly relevant to your niche, your target students, that are valuable and educational for them, it presents you as more of an expert in a specific area. And it means that people get to build and sort of nurture that relationship a little bit more with you, which then means that they're more interested in buying classes from you specifically. So my strategy, and I know that people have different approaches, but my strategy is generally post lots of valuable educational content and inspirational content that's inspiring to pursue a specific goal. And then I don't directly promote my classes at all. I wait for them to reach out to me. And when people are messaging me, begging me for classes, that puts me in the right position in terms of negotiation power and being able to say, well, yes, of course, I do offer classes. I'm a bit busy at the moment, but I do have a spare space. And by the way, my prices are $50 an hour. And because they're the ones reaching out to you, and you know, you don't look desperate. I feel like the ones, people where they just post up pictures being like, I have a new student, yay. It looks a little bit desperate, in like they've only got the one student and they got really excited they got the one student, or more that, I don't know if I'm explaining well, but basically I wouldn't recommend doing it is my my answer to that question. Okay. Well, Brenda's asking, did you change the name of your YouTube? No, I don't think so. Has my name changed? It should still be Katie, online ESL teacherpreneur or something I put it as. If it's changed to something weird, please tell me. I don't think I got hacked. Let me have a look. Did I change anything on there? It's still showing that. Yeah. Katie, online ESL teacherpreneur. That's my YouTube. But yeah. Okay, let's have a look at Loi's profile then and give a few suggestions to help Loi here optimize and tweak this. I know Loi's been along to a few of our things before, so hopefully this is all well optimized and beautiful. And we can do a bit of fine tuning. So again, I'm just going to pop this into English for you guys to make it a bit easier to read. So we've got, let's start with the name, right? Loi, elementary ESL reading teacher. I think that's a really strong starting point. Loi has included her name, which is great. People get to know you as an individual. Top tip, by the way, if you're someone who has like a kind of brand name, like I noticed Loi is using, was it Galactic English or something, on YouTube? Oh, English Star Explorers. Okay, there we go. Oh yeah, Galactic English is on the picture there. But like, even if you've got a kind of brand name that you like to use on XiaoHongShu, I'd recommend using your personal name. It's the kind of platform where people go to get to know individual people, not brands. So yeah, great start here. We've got Loi, and then she's used a tagline, which includes relevant keywords for her target audience. So elementary ESL reading teacher. Now, I'm just going to put this back in Chinese so you can see what it looks like. So XiaoXue means like elementary school. ESL, and then Yuedu means like to read, like reading, and then teacher. One thing I would recommend is, rather than writing ESL as like English letters here, I would probably just write Yingyu, which means English. So it would just be elementary school English reading teacher, because I feel like that's more likely to show up in search, like what people will be searching for. Whereas ESL is kind of a term that I don't see used a lot in China. Like I'm pretty sure people are aware of it, but only people in education are aware of it. Like other teachers will know it. But you're targeting like parents who may not be familiar with the term ESL, because it's shorthand for English as a second language, which is obviously a bunch of complicated English words. So yeah, I'll just change ESL into Yingyu for English. Okay, so otherwise looking good, and it makes it very clear what her niche is. Let me just go back to the form actually and double check what you wrote down as your niche. ESL struggling students aged 7 to 14, reading comprehension and fluency. Okay, so again, focus on reading, elementary school kids. Yeah, sounds perfect. Great, so you've got that very clear in your profile kind of tagline here. Right, next thing to have a look at is your profile picture. Again, lovely photo, and great that you can see your face. I know this sounds really obvious, but sometimes I see teachers put a picture of them like in the far distance, silhouetted against, you know, a romantic backdrop of the sunset or something, and you can't see their face. This is great because I can see who you are. Wonderful, love it. And nice, bright, and colourful. So that's fantastic. One small suggestion. I mean, I quite like. Is that kind of like a beach background? Let me just have a look closely. Looks like a beach or something in the background, or maybe a wall that's sort of sand coloured. I think that's quite nice because it means your face kind of pops, like you can really see you. But if you wanted, you could have like a sort of fun education related background, like with your teaching backdrop or something. I think this works fine, but it's always fun to mix things up a bit every now and then if you wish. But yeah, I think that's great. Let's have a look then at next bit is your XiaoHongShu ID. Now this ID looks like it's currently been left at the XiaoHongShu default. It's a bit small on the screen, you guys probably can't see it, but it's like a mess of little numbers. I would recommend for your XiaoHongShu ID, set it to something, firstly set it to match your WeChat ID. And if you haven't set your WeChat ID yet, then plan your ID first. You want your ID to be short, easy to remember, and ideally it should be something like your name. Your name might already be taken because Laurie, there's probably a few other Lauries around. But in my case, I chose Katie and then a few random numbers. I use that as my WeChat ID, and then in turn, I set that as my XiaoHongShu ID. Before you change your IDs, though, double check that they're actually available on both platforms. So just type in the search bar. You see at the top here, there's a search bar. Just type in here like the ID you're thinking of, like Laurie 123 or whatever, and see if someone's already got a profile Laurie 123. And do the same on WeChat. Like act as if you're trying to add a new friend on WeChat with your ID Laurie123 and see if it's available or not. On WeChat, it doesn't always show up though because they may have hidden their profile. So search for it both on WeChat and XiaoHongShu. Make sure the ID you want is available. Then change your ID on WeChat first to make sure it's definitely available on WeChat. And only if it's successfully changed properly on WeChat, then change it to be the same on XiaoHongShu. As I say, the reason you do it in that order is because WeChat sometimes has a lot of hidden IDs that you think is available. You set it on XiaoHongShu and then you go to WeChat to change your ID and you can't get the same ID because it's already taken. So yeah, set it on WeChat first, then set it on XiaoHongShu. But I would recommend picking something like Laurie123 or Laurie ABC or something on those lines as an ID. That's a bit easier for people to remember. The reason I say to make them match, like I was saying earlier, it means that people who stumble across your profile on XiaoHongShu can easily add you on WeChat without having to ask you, what's your WeChat ID? And it also means when you're messaging people and you're trying to encourage them to add you on WeChat, if you write the word WeChat in the chat in XiaoHongShu, it will get flagged and you'll get warnings. If you write it too often, they might like suspend your account and things like that. You don't want that. So it's against the XiaoHongShu terms and conditions to like directly pull people off the platform. That's because they're trying to encourage you to create a business account. But as someone who's not Chinese, you can't create a business account anyway. So it's kind of restrictive. So my recommendation is make sure your WeChat ID is the same as your XiaoHongShu ID. Then when people ask you, oh, how can I message you somewhere else? You can just be like, oh, add me on the other app. Don't say WeChat. It's like the other app or on the messaging, message me and then put your ID. But your ID is the same on both apps. So it won't get flagged because they think you're just sharing your XiaoHongShu ID. But actually you're sharing your WeChat ID. And people know it's WeChat. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, Laurie's just commented, I still have the default IDs on both. Great, that means you can change them. Just a top tip, you can only change them like once per year. So like make sure you thought about it before you change it. But if they're still set at the default, it means you're able to change them like when you wish because you haven't changed them yet. So I'd recommend have a think about what you want to set it as, search to make sure they're both available, then set it on WeChat, and only if you're able to set it successfully on WeChat, then set it on XiaoHongShu. But yeah, that's one small thing to tweak. Okay, I've rambled on enough about that. Hopefully that makes a bit of sense. Let's have a quick look at Laurie's bio. She's written let me just put this into English. Struggling with English, weak comprehension, low English fluency. I can help, send me a message. Why has fluency appeared twice? That might just be Google Translate being annoying. Let's put things a little bit weird. Fluency. I think this might be something to do with how you translated things. But there's like random English bits in between Chinese bits, if that makes sense. We've got a bit Chinese first. So I put this back to the normal view. This isn't using the translator now. So the first section, English problems, like questions. This is like difficult. Are you struggling with like answer with English questions or difficulties? And then you put in English again, struggling with English, which is kind of the same thing. Media. weak comprehension. If you're understanding weak. I would recommend just writing it all in Chinese. I think the confusion here is that you've got like bits of English and bits of Chinese. And I don't know whether that's come from like using a translation app that hasn't properly translated things fully. So there's like random English words dotted in between the Chinese words. But I think it would make more sense if you just had the whole thing in Chinese. I always recommend, by the way, put your bio in Chinese because you're targeting Chinese learners. XiaoHongShu does not have a built-in translation tool. So if you put it in English, they can't read it. You want it in Chinese. So I would probably play around with this bio a little bit more. Let's put this back in English so you guys can see what she's put here. So if we go back to the original form, Laurie said target student is ESL struggling students aged 7 to 14, focusing on reading comprehension and fluency. So I would recommend first starting out, my kind of template for a bio is first bit, say something that's like unique about you. For example, I don't know, experienced elementary school teacher, if you were like a credentialed teacher who taught in school before. Or you could say mother to 2 bilingual kids, if you brought up your own bilingual kids. The idea is it's something that's sort of more unique about you. It's not just, oh, I have a TEFL certificate, and it's not a whole CV of like all of your experiences and qualifications. It's like one or at most 2 unique kind of interesting things about you that help you stand out as an expert in what you do, and ideally also relatable to your target audience. So for example, if you're the mother to 2 bilingual kids, that is relatable to people who also want to bring up bilingual kids if you're teaching like young kids. So, things like that can help you relate to your target audience and also show your expertise. So I'm not sure, in your case, Laurie, have a think about what you might have that helps you stand out. It's a little bit unique. Or alternatively, you can't really think of much to put there. That's okay. You can instead say more of a question. So like Laurie's here has got struggling with English, weak comprehension. You wanted to target kids. So your target audience on XiaoHongShu was a parent. You want to be talking directly to the parent. So you can start with a question like, is your child struggling to read English passages in school, the English text in school? Are they struggling with English reading comprehension? But use the phrase like your child. Is your child struggling with English reading comprehension? Are they nervous reading out loud in front of the class? Whatever. Think about some really key fear or challenge that is concerning your target audience. Why would they want classes? Because their kid is struggling with reading in school. Or it could be focusing on the goal they want to achieve. Why do they need to read fluently in school? Well, it's because they need to do better in the exams. The exams in China are often quite reading focused. So there's a lot of reading and a lot of grammar and that kind of content in the exams. So you could say like, does your child want to get into a top middle school but is struggling with the English exam? I'll be a little bit wary on that just because if you're not Chinese yourself, you're not an expert in the Chinese English exams, like the ones for like getting into different schools and stuff, then be a bit careful on that maybe. But yeah, put something like a question. Sorry, I'm rambling a lot today. It's the evening. I'm half asleep, guys. Some sympathy, please. Give me a like to give me a boost up. Anyway, the thing I would suggest is having some kind of question that appeals to what they're struggling with or what their child is struggling with and address them directly. Is your child struggling with reading English reading comprehension? Something like that. If you don't have something that's like unique about you, could put instead. Things that do help stand out, as I said, would be things like being an elementary school teacher, like an actual qualified classroom teacher, being bilingual yourself or having bilingual kids you've brought up. It could be if you're focusing on exams and stuff, you can talk about 80% pass rate for the IELTS exam. Well, IELTS doesn't have a pass as such as like scoring, but like you could say like 80% of my students got a 5. No, you don't want 5 in IELTS. 7.5 score in the IELTS exam or something crazy like that. Those kind of things you can put something unique and cool that catches people's attention. And then you want your transformation statement, which is I help. In this case, it's like early readers, or you're kind of targeting up to middle school kind of age range, 7 to 14. So you could say something like use both like youth, like young people, because teenagers are kind of older than young kids, so that makes sense. So you could say, I help teenagers improve their reading, comprehension, and fluency in order to something. And you want to think, why do they need to improve their reading, comprehension, and fluency? What is their ultimate goal? So it might be that they want to go study abroad. It might be they want to pass a specific exam. It might be that they're just scared and nervous in class and it is holding them back. So think about what their ultimate goal is and why they would want your classes. And then we've got here, I can help, send me a message. Again, I'm always a bit wary about send me a message as a call to action. At the moment, you've got 9 followers. So at this point, I think your call to action should be follow me for posts on recommend books to read, maybe. Or here, idiom of the day. I think you're still quite new in terms of posting content, but like think about what kind of content you're going to post, and you could say something like follow me for reading book recommendations. That's quite a good one to do if you're focusing on reading, right? So that kind of call to action there. Okay, rambled a lot. Let me go back to the chat and see if we've got anything here. Excellent, Laurie's got some ideas. Awesome. Experienced elementary teacher, mother of 4 bilingual kids. Fantastic. I love that. Put that at the top of your bio. That's the first sentence. Experienced elementary school teacher, mother of 4 bilingual kids. Amazing. So put that as a first line. And then you want, I help teenagers, well, 7 to 14 is not really teenagers. It's like young, I'm not sure what word you'd use for that particular age range, but you could say, I help students develop their reading fluency and comprehension skills in order to something. What's their ultimate goal? Think a bit about that. If you've got current students already, ask those current students why they want to improve their reading fluency, what they're struggling with, what their ultimate goal is. So yeah. Okay, Laura's saying, I couldn't get all the words to translate in Google or DeepL. Okay, yeah, it might be because you've got the emojis in there. I wonder if that makes it a bit difficult with the translation tools. I've never had any major issues with DeepL. DeepL is particularly good for English to Chinese translation. So I would recommend remove the emojis first, just put in the sentences. And you don't need to have quite so many emojis, I would say. So maybe put in that first sentence you had was experienced elementary school teacher, mother of 4 bilingual kids. Put that whole sentence, no emojis, into DeepL to translate it, and then paste it, just the text across. I think it might be the emojis messing things up with the breaks between sentences in the translation app, maybe. Okay, I hope that was helpful. Sorry, Laurie, I know I rambled a lot there, but I hope that gave you a few ideas and insights as to how you can optimize this. You've got a really great start, which is fantastic. I love that. But probably a few things in the bio in particular to tweak there. Great. Right, are we still following on? Let me know in the chat, by the way, if this is helpful for you, if there's something you've learned from this, or anything you're going to change yourself with your own bio as to what is going to be, like what kind of tweaks you can make to your own profile. Having like looked at a couple of profiles now already today from other teachers. Any tips that have helped you, let me know. I'm going to go back to just my giant ugly face. Gosh, it looks awful, isn't it? It's like a spot coming out. Terrible. I don't know what's happened this week. My skin is just... Okay, someone's put in the chat here, waiting for your answer. That's great. Do you have a question? Let me see. I'm just going to scroll up. Sorry, the chat gets a bit long, so I might have missed questions earlier on, so do feel free to ask them again in the chat if I've missed your question. I can't seem to find the question that Facebook user was asking, but pop it in the chat if you've got another question. Got a comment here from mystery Facebook user. By the way, if you're on Facebook, there's a link, I think it's above the video on Facebook, where you can authorize Wave Video to access your name, so I can greet you more personally. But great, I'm great to hear. I'm glad to hear. Words. I'm an English teacher, honest. I'm glad to hear that you found this helpful. Cool. Oh, Lois said, should I also include I'm bilingual too? Yeah, that's a great thing to mention, I think. Although if you mention you've got 4 bilingual kids, it's kind of implied that you're bilingual. I mean, you don't have to be. It could be that you speak one language, your partner speaks the other language, and you taught your kids each, if that makes sense. But yeah, you can mention that you're bilingual if it fits in with the character counts. It's definitely something that appeals to a lot of parents, for sure. Dean's saying, always helpful, Katie. That's great to hear. I'm glad this helped. Cool info. Awesome. Fantastic. Okay, should we have a look at another profile, or do you want me to talk a bit more about XiaoHongShu? Oh, I've got a question. What about posting testimonials and positive feedback from existing students on XiaoHongShu? Oh, this one's a debatable one. We actually had a conversation about this in a coaching session I was running recently, because there's quite a bit of debates. Like, you can post them. Normally they don't get banned. Like, they're not going to get flagged so much, depending on what you've put in the description. But at the same time, XiaoHongShu is like the top of your marketing funnel. So it's reaching mostly new leads and a new audience who don't know you yet. So it's the very top of what we call your marketing funnel. And then as people get to know you, they kind of funnel down this thing. They're going from XiaoHongShu, they're going to add you on WeChat, and then you're going to build that relationship a bit more, and then they're going to think about buying classes. So if they're right at the top of the funnel, they don't know, like, and trust you yet. We have this phrase, it's often used in marketing: know, like, and trust. They're not going to be ready to buy anything from you until they know who you are, they like you as a person, and they trust that you can offer the services and you're an expert in what you do. So the idea of what you're posting on XiaoHongShu is building up that kind of factor, building up that trust and building those relationships. Then people can connect with you more individually, and that's when you start your sales pitch. So if you post testimonials on XiaoHongShu, they're going to reach this kind of broad new audience who don't know you yet. It's not really going to have the same impact in terms of pushing a sale because they're not ready to buy yet because they don't know, like, and trust you. We also have this rule. I say rule. I think someone made it up based on some vague statistics, but this idea of a 7-touch rule, that people have to engage with your content 7 times. That could be through messaging with you. It could be through seeing things you posted, engaging in a chat, whatever. 7 times before they're ready to make that purchase decision. And again, it's the same concept of this know, like, and trust. They need to know, like, and trust you first through those 7 touch points before they're ready to buy. So a testimonial, this is if it's reaching people who don't really know you yet, because it's on XiaoHongShu, which is your broad kind of viral app, probably not going to get much engagement, probably not really encourage people to buy yet because they're not yet ready to make that purchase decision. Personally, I'd recommend saving testimonial posts for posting in your WeChat moments instead. That's because people in your WeChat, once they've got from XiaoHongShu to your WeChat, they already kind of know you a little bit more. They've already had at least a couple of touch points with you because they must have seen one of your posts. They probably followed you on XiaoHongShu. They probably messaged you to get your WeChat ID. So they've already connected with you at least 3 or 4 times. So then when they see your testimonial post on WeChat moments, they're already that step further down the funnel towards that purchase decision. So yeah, you can post them on XiaoHongShu, but it doesn't tend to be as successful, I would say. So save them for your WeChat moments. Also, like, don't put on the description of the post "buy now" classes or something. You can just say something like "thank you for this lovely feedback," that kind of content. But yeah, as I say, best to put that on WeChat moments. I'm rambling. Hope that helped. Brenda's comment is saying, "You're always helpful." Thank you, Brenda. Thanks. I really appreciate you tuning in. I hope you're learning some useful tips. And yeah, Brenda has a really fantastic stories curriculum, by the way. You guys should check it out. She's also does a lot of support and things for teachers as well. Okay, shall we go to the next entry? How are we doing on time? Oh gosh, I spent ages rambling. Sorry, guys. Let's go back to the entries then. By the way, if you'd like to be entered for a free XiaoHongShu profile review, don't forget to check out the link in the description, either above or below the video, to request a review. You have to fill out a simple form, and then I will generate a random number to pick the next person to review. So at the moment, we've got 58 entries. Generate a random number. Number 48 is being reviewed. Okay, number 48. Let's look at the list of entries. Sorry, I'm not screen sharing this bit because I don't want you guys to see everyone's personal data, obviously. Number 48. Let's have a look. Who is number 48? Number 48 is... Oh, I recognise the email address. They've not left a name, which is a bit weird. Who do I know is that? I think that's Alison. Let me just share the profile, and hopefully they got their name on the profile. I'm not sure why it wasn't on the form. The form did have a few weird blips recently, so... Oh yes, I recognise that face. That is Alison. Awesome. Okay, let me just screen share. Share my screen. Show on stream. Here we go. Okay, this is Alison. Alison, are you in the chat? Let us know if you're joining us. So I saw Alison in the training session really recently, actually. So great to see you again. Okay, so a few top tips. Oh, lots to work on this profile. You're a little bit new, I think, on XiaoHongShu, which is great. Lots of things to help you get started. So look, are we completely new, or is the profile being reset? We've posted quite a lot here. Lots of great posts. Oh, I love a bit of Kuala Go content. That's fantastic. Awesome. Okay, so she's been posting quite a bit, but she's not yet really edited much on her profile, which I think could be, sometimes if you post something that's been flagged by XiaoHongShu, it will delete what you put in your bio and it might change your name back to the default. So I don't know if that might have happened here, or whether you just never optimized anything and just got super active on posting, which is fine either way. But yep, let's have a look then. So, I mean, I think everything we talked about so far are things to work on. So firstly, you want your name. I was saying a bit earlier, this idea of a name plus a tagline. Let's have a look at what Alison put on the form. Who's your target student? Elementary age, 2nd to 5th grade, ESL grammar, speaking, reading, KUT exams, immersive learning using Kuala Go playgrounds and stories. Gosh, that's a lot for me to digest. Okay, so elementary school, got that. Grammar, speaking, and reading, so quite comprehensive sort of language learning. KT exam. Okay, technically the KT exam, by the way, is meant to be aimed at teenagers. Just a heads up to people, because there's a lot of push in China on getting kids to take these exams when they're quite young. When really the Cambridge Young Learner exams might be more appropriate for elementary school kids. But let's put that aside. So we've got exam prep, kind of quite comprehensive sort of English skills for elementary school kids, and immersive learning through Koala Go playgrounds. Yep, love it. Okay. So let's think. You want your name definitely needs to be changed from this. This is just saying XiaoHongShu user 65BAFF0A, which is not a particularly great profile name. So I would recommend picking something like Alison, like your actual name, and then a little tagline related to your niche. So it could be something like Alison, immersive English teacher, or I think it's quite good to get across. So with Koala Go, these kind of immersive. I'm not sure you guys are familiar with Koala Go, but have a look at these pictures on Alison's profile. They're like it's like a 3D virtual learning environment where you can play all these fun games with students and teach them English, but in a much more kind of fun, kind of like a real world environment. So if you want the kids to learn like how to act out a role play of buying things in a restaurant, you could create a restaurant themed playground and have them act it out as if they're in this sort of video game style world of a restaurant, for example. So it's really, really cool. So I wonder if you can get in your name, in your tagline, something along the lines of like immersive English learning or immersive kids English. Something like that could work quite well. Or alternatively, if you really want to focus a bit more on like the exam prep aspect, then you could put something like KET exam expert or Cambridge. They often search for Cambridge English exam. So Cambridge English exam expert could work quite well as a sort of tagline too. And by the way, I didn't mention this before, but put the tagline in Chinese. So like Cambridge English exam would be 剑桥英语考试. So put that as like put it in those Chinese characters. Don't write it in English because people will be searching in Chinese for these search terms. So that's what I'd recommend putting as your name here. I'm going to put it in the search box so you guys can see what I mean. So Alison is in an actual name. And then I usually put that kind of vertical line. I need to look up what this line is called. It's like the pipe command line, the vertical line like this to separate your name from your sort of tagline thing. If you haven't got space for it, by the way, just skip it. It's not that important. And then you want 剑桥英语考试专家, maybe like expert or 教练, like coach. So that could be quite a good tagline if you want to focus on the Cambridge English exams. Whereas if you want to focus on like fun kids English learning, like put that as the tagline here. Let me think. Fun kids English learning. My Chinese is struggling today. Immersive. How would you say immersive? Google Translate something along the lines of fun English, like kids English learning or something like that as a tagline if you want that to be the main focus. Okay, so that is a little bit of the name. I think everything we talked about before about the bio, I would recommend if you're new to this, check out the link in the description to the free XiaoHongShu Bootcamp. It guides you through the process of putting together a bio and sort of structuring it, how to optimize it, what kind of content to include, because there's a lot to talk about there, and I'll probably recommend doing that because at the moment it just says like still hasn't written it. It could be that you wrote something and XiaoHongShu has deleted it because it included some kind of flagged term. So if you include something like message me or my WeChat ID is or buy my classes now, those kind of keywords often get flagged by XiaoHongShu and then I just delete your entire bio. So it could be that something like that's happened here. I'm not too sure. Or maybe she didn't set it yet. That's fine. I'm not sure if Alice has joined us in the chat. I don't think she was here earlier. But yeah, have a look at the XiaoHongShu Bootcamp for tips on that, I would say. Okay, shall we have a look at the chat then? So aware of the time, I want to make sure everyone's had an opportunity to hear some top tips. We've got a question here from Gustav. Hello, between WeChat Moments and XiaoHongShu, which one do you think is a bigger student magnet? Okay, so these are like separate things, but they work well together. And do I have I don't think I put on my slides. Did I put my overview of the funnel thing? I don't think I did on this set of slides. No. Okay, have a look on my profile. I've got a video. It might be under the lives tab on my YouTube or if you're in the Facebook group, there's also pinned in the Facebook group. It's a video where I talked about the Chinese social media marketing funnel. Basically, the idea is that XiaoHongShu is a very viral social media platform. It can reach a very large audience, and it's very algorithm driven. So basically, if you've got 0 current students, 0 existing leads, no connection at all, like with anyone in China to help you, you can still get people through XiaoHongShu because it's algorithm driven. So you post valuable, interesting content, the algorithm picks up on relevant keywords in that content, it looks at who engages that content, and then it recommends that content to more people to help you reach a completely new audience. That's XiaoHongShu. WeChat is a messaging app. The only way people can connect with you on WeChat is if they know your WeChat ID or your phone number or your email address, or someone directly recommends you and sends someone your contact details, or if you're in a group chat with like that person and then they add you. Like, they need to basically have a direct connection to be able to connect with you on WeChat. It's kind of like WhatsApp. Now on WeChat Moments, things you post on WeChat Moments are only seen by your WeChat contacts. You can set them as public, but then they're only seen by people who search you up. There's no algorithm to find content. So basically, your WeChat Moments are only seen by your existing connections on WeChat. So if you've already got loads of Chinese friends, like I say friends, like if you already have got a great network in China of potential students who are in the right target audience, then you can just use WeChat because you can connect with those people directly because you've already got their contact details. They can refer you to friends. You can do things like that just within WeChat. But most teachers don't have an existing network. So XiaoHongShu is where you can reach totally new people. But then from XiaoHongShu, you funnel them onto your WeChat, because on WeChat you can directly message with them. XiaoHongShu has a direct messaging system, but it's quite limited, and they like track what you write and they flag certain content. Whereas on WeChat, it's a bit like WhatsApp. You can write whatever you want. You can directly sell to students. You can talk about classes. You can advertise directly on WeChat. That's no problem. But they have to already have your details to connect with you. So basically, you use XiaoHongShu, this viral social media app, at the top of your funnel to find a large audience of potential students. Then you encourage them to add you on WeChat. That's going down the funnel. Once you've got them on WeChat, you can directly message with them and nurture that relationship. And then you're going to make the sale on WeChat. I'm not sure if that makes sense. So you need both of these apps, is what I'm trying to say. They kind of work together. Okay, I hope that helped give you a little bit of an idea on choosing different apps. If you want to learn more about different Chinese social media apps, there's also a link in the description to a Chinese social media platforms guide, which has got lots of tips on the top 5 Chinese social media apps you need to know about as an online teacher to help you advertise your classes. So do check that out if you would like to learn more about those. Okay, that's enough of me rambling. Should we do one more? Let's have a look at one more profile review. I know we've come up to an hour now, but I have a bit more time, so we can stick around a little bit longer. Let's look at another entry. Last chance if you've got another couple of seconds to enter your details into the form if you would like to be considered for a profile review. Let me refresh the page. Let's have a look. Okay, so we've got 58 entries. Let's go to our random number generator. Generate another random number, 43. Okay, let's look at entry number 43. Page 2. Entry 43. Who's entry 43? Entry 43 has also not included their name. I'm not sure if this is an issue with the form. Maybe some people just didn't put their name in. That's fine. Let me go to their profile and have a look at their profile. Hope their name is on their XiaoHongShu profile. Let me just call this up. Right, and screen share. Okay, so this is our next profile to review. They set their name as Zai. I'm really sorry. I'm awful at pronunciation of different names. But if you're in the chat, please do let us know. Comment in the chat. Let me know you're tuning in today. And I'm sure we can. So the chat just blipped. What happened there? Okay. If you're in the chat, let me know if you're joining us live. We've got Zai, I think. I'm probably butchering that pronunciation. Someone tell me in the chat how to pronounce this correctly. I would really appreciate it. I'm terrible with names. Okay, so he is an English teacher. Let's have a look at what he wrote on the form. Who's your target student? He's written financial management, economics, business studies, and English. High school, tertiary, and adults. I teach CAPS, IEB, and Cambridge, but willing to learn any syllabus. I think this CAPS and IEB are like specific maybe to finance and economics exams, maybe. I'm not too familiar with those outside of my area of expertise. Okay, so you're basically wanting to target high school, tertiary, and adults. I would say So we're looking at university students, high school, university, maybe young professionals within financial management, economics, business studies. There's a lot there to cover, but they all kind of link together, so that's great. Let's have a look at what he's put on his profile, and that will hopefully give us a few thoughts here. So he's shared some tips here. Business studies, financial management, economics teacher. Fantastic. And it's great to see someone who's not just doing ESL, like standard ESL classes, because actually there's a lot of potential in offering more specialist and subject-related classes, particularly for people who want to like work overseas or study abroad. There's a lot of potential in that market. I would say there's quite a mixture here of content. Just looking at the content, we've got here a sort of phonics-related thing of long U word list, which is like words with a long U sound. I would say that's quite aimed at kindergarten kids. And then we've got a picture of a TEFL certificate, which, by the way, I wouldn't usually recommend sharing pictures of qualifications and things because it doesn't really help that much on XiaoHongShu. Then we've got a sort of flyer talking about business studies, financial management, and a few of those. And a kind of direct advert about classes. Okay, be very careful about posting about your classes directly. You'll notice these posts don't really have a lot of engagement yet. I'm not sure if you guys can see, it's quite small on the screen, but there's normally like 1 like or so on the posts. So I would say the kind of content that's going to reach a wider audience is more like valuable or educational content. So for example, if you're focusing on university students studying economics and business studies, then put pictures of like notes from your own economic studies with annotations on top tips or something related to that topic, or have a look at sort of topics they'll be learning in their university studies, and maybe a quick slideshow like of images related to a particular economics topic, or talking about the news and how the economy is being impacted or something, and talking about that. Again, way outside of my area of expertise. My point being, try and post things that are educational and valuable. That's going to get a much better engagement as you bring in your target audience compared to directly promotional content. That would be my tip here. Again, I'm probably going to suggest having a look at the XiaoHongShu bootcamp in terms of the profile bio and details like that, because I think there's a lot of the basics maybe to go over here. But kind of like I was saying earlier, with your name, I would recommend adding a tagline that relates to what you teach. So maybe something like economics, business studies, or international economics and business studies. Maybe could be a good little tagline there. Again, translate that into Chinese and then put the characters after your name in the name field. I have to admit, I'm not quite sure what this bio is talking about. A man who brings ant-infested firewood into his house must not grumble when lizards start to visit. This sounds like one of those, what's it called, stories, like a moral story. No, that's not the word for it. It's not really a fable, it's like a saying. I'm sure it's wonderful and it's a great saying, but at the same time, let's think about how to optimize your bio to attract your target audience, right? So if your target audience is economics and finance, think about the stuff you've actually put here on this sort of flyer thing. And again, I don't recommend posting these kind of flyers, but you've got here business studies, financial management, and economics teacher. And if I look, it's a very small print here: Bachelor of Business Administration, TEFL certificate, MBA, facilitation certificate. I'm not sure what the last one is. Facilitation, is that some kind of teaching qualification, maybe? But having an MBA, that's quite a unique qualification, right? Particularly if you want to focus on business professionals and finance, economics, this area. I would put that in your bio, something like MBA graduate. So at the top here in your profile bio, instead of this lovely message, instead I would say something like MBA graduate, particularly if it's a well-known university, mention the university too. And then something about how you help your target audience, what goal you help them achieve, that transformation statement, and a call to action, encouraging people to follow you for whatever kind of valuable post or content you're planning on posting. Again, I'd probably recommend, rather than going into details on this particular example, have a look at the XiaoHongShu Bootcamp. The link is somewhere around the video. It's free and it guides you through step-by-step how to optimize that bio a little bit more. Okay, should we have a quick look at the chat? How are things going? I'm rambling a lot today. This is what happens when I do things in the evening. It's not even that late in the evening. We started at 6 p.m. my time, but for me, I'm like half asleep today. So I talk a lot. Alan's saying, really appreciate the wonderful feedback. Thank you, Alan. I'm glad this helped you. I've edited it now. Awesome. Fantastic. So I hope that helped. And hopefully we'll start seeing some results that's going to help you bring in a few more of those students, because an optimized profile and bio and all of that can really help in terms of bringing in more followers, bringing in more leads, getting them into your funnel and converting them into paying students. Okay. Right. I might end things and wrap things up a bit here. Let me just screen share my lovely adverts. to wrap things up. Okay, and I want to screen share this page, share this tab. Come on, tech, you can work. Awesome. So just a reminder while we wrap things up, thank you so much everyone for joining us today. I hope you guys found this helpful. As always, do let me know in the chat if it was useful. A little reminder as well, if you did find this video helpful and today's live, do like and subscribe for more content like this, and it helps me reach even more amazing teachers like you going forwards. If you'd like to learn more about how to get started on Chinese social media, particularly XiaoHongShu, have a look at all these free resources. They are linked in the video description. There's a free Chinese social media platforms guide. It talks about the top 5 Chinese social media platforms that you need to know about as an online teacher and how to pick the best one for you. We talked a bit about the demographics on XiaoHongShu earlier, right? And it's primarily women aged 19 to 34. So, for example, if you want to target experienced business professionals, there are other apps that might be better for that. So that's what that platform guide will help you with, finding the best platform to focus on. There's also the free Facebook group, lots of great chats and discussion in the Facebook group. We've got over 9,000 members now in the Facebook group, which is super exciting. So there's lots of top tips, people sharing ideas, great place to ask questions. I sometimes get a bit overwhelmed with messages, so I really apologize if I can't answer every message that people send to me, but the Facebook group is the best place to ask, because if I can't get back to you, another one of our amazing community members will. So yeah, ask things in the Facebook group, great place to get support. And of course, the free XiaoHongShu Bootcamp, the link is in the description, and it's free, and it guides you through optimizing, setting up your profile, getting your first few posts sorted, what kind of content you can post. Do check that out. Did I have another slide I was going to promote? Yes, I did. Okay. And just to end with a little actual sales pitch, because I'm all about marketing here, give a bit of free stuff and then encourage people to sign up and buy something. If you do want to learn more about Chinese social media marketing, maybe you've got your profile started, you started producing posts on XiaoHongShu, but you're really struggling to actually convert followers and likes and engagement on your posts into actual paying customers, and you want more students through Chinese social media, I really recommend checking out the Abridge Academy course. I've got a link in the description. I can also just pop it in the chat as well. Let me do that. Oop, why is my computer typing in Chinese? Let's put that back into English. abridgeacademy.com/courses. So on this page, you can join the Chinese Social Media Marketing Mastery Program. I do need to come up with a more manageable name. It's way too long. But the Chinese Social Media Marketing Mastery Program, it's designed to make you an absolute expert in Chinese social media, particularly WeChat and XiaoHongShu, which has been my own personal focus. There are step-by-step training videos guiding you through everything, lots and lots of support and guidance. There's also insights from real parents and teachers. It's not just me rambling at you. It gives you lots of insights as well into what Chinese students are actually expecting from your classes, how to pick a niche that really works for the Chinese markets, how to pitch and present yourself, how to sort out the finances and get payments from China, including options for teachers in a whole range of different countries. So don't worry if you're in like South Africa or somewhere where I know it's difficult sometimes to get payments, lots of options for you still that work. And of course, advanced marketing strategies that have been actually proven that I myself have used, have an independent teacher, and also that I've used with our own tutoring program through Abridge Academy. So lots of great resources and things there. I'm not going to ramble too much on it. There's some wonderful testimonials from people if you check out the website, if that's interesting for you. Do feel free to have a look. Okay, so I'm going to wrap things up here. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I always appreciate everyone's engagement in the chat and all your great insights. And thank you also to everyone who shared your profiles and allowed us to give that kind of feedback to everyone in this live. So I do hope you found this helpful. Oh, Dean's saying I think there's a typo. Oh, I forgot the R in courses. I can't spell today. So what happens when I try and type things in? https abridgeacademy.com/courses. If it didn't work, go back to the Abridge Academy homepage. The link is actually in the header of the Abridge Academy page. Apologies for that. Thank you for noticing that, Nadine. Thank you for spotting that. I've just popped the correct link in the chat. There you go, abridgeacademy.com/courses. Or if you just go to the Abridge Academy website, the link is in the header menu on the Abridge Academy website. Okay, so yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Hope you found this helpful. Seeing lots of things in the chat. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us, Brenda. And thank you, Laurie, as well. I'm glad that you found the tips and everything helpful today. That's great to hear. Good stuff saying, thank you, love your curriculum. Also, yeah, if anyone wants to check out Abridge Academy curriculum, it's wonderful. Do have a look. We have a free tier to sign up to get you started. I'm so glad to hear you enjoying it, Gustav. A lot of work I put into Abridge Academy curriculum. It's really interactive and engaging for young learners. Awesome. Lots of thanks. Fantastic. Okay, well, thank you so much. I'm going to end things here because I'm rambling. Hope you guys have a wonderful evening, rest of your day, whatever time it is in your place around the world. And I'll see you again in another live sometime soon.